You're listening to Marketing Mavens on.
That's what you're listening to. How lovely it is that you're giving us that time, and of course, how lovely it is to tell you stories behind the ideas. I tell you, it makes everything so delicious, no? And talking of delicacy, we've got the wonderful Abhishek Chaswal with us, senior advertising consultant, and the man who has decided to break down those stories for us. Works very, very hard at gaining knowledge, which is why it is always wonderful to have this conversation with you on Marketing Mavens, Abhishek. Today you have inroads into media, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we've got some nice stories about how media is changing. You know how over the years media has changed a lot, and what is happening. So I'll probably try to take you through a journey, from the beginning. To till today.
Of course. So what are the what are we starting with?
So let us say this is like an anecdotal story how advertising started. So what they say is what I've heard is like that there was somebody who had a soap, a good soap, and he was thinking, how do I reach out to people to tell them okay, this soap is very good. So he basically had a good friend who was a journalist in a newspaper. So he told the newspaper journalist, why don't you write about my soap in the newspaper so that a lot of people can get to, because this newspaper goes to those many houses. So that, I think, obviously they didn't do it because it was news and there was sanctity of news, but they did start selling some space in the newspaper to carry information about brands which are not news, which is ad, So
they created space.
So that was, according to me, the first concept of selling media, to a newspaper is going to so many houses. Why don't I have my message here?
So and it was analog.
So from that time, then another story that I have is like Lester Wunderman, जिनके नाम पे Wunderman advertising आज जिन बना है. So he was an account executive and he was, thinking he had a client for a hearing aid brand. So the thing was, that in a particular market, that hearing aid was not selling very well. So then he went out and he researched that why is it happening and what can I do to, increase the sale.
Right.
So as the story goes, he was thinking and, roaming around in that town, and then he got to know that there is a church there where there is a very popular father who gives a sermon, and uska sermon na koi miss nahi karta hai us pure town mein. So he contacted that father, and he said, wouldn't it be great if even deaf people can listen to people
to the word of God, so to speak.
So those were, I think, the first building blocks of finding media. So in a way, the first example, the media was somebody looked at newspaper as a media for the first time. Then Lester Wunderman saw a human being as a media.
Abhishek Chaswal, of course, a senior advertising consultant himself, and a lifelong student of advertising and ideas. And that is why it's always fascinating to have this conversation. What's next?
So, देखिए ये मीडिया का ये खेल अब यहाँ तक पहुँच चुका है that some time back, we heard this song called बिस्लेरी की बोतल पी के बन गए जेंटलमैन, या मैं झंडू बाम हुई डार्लिंग तेरे लिए. So now people are consuming these popular item songs or entertainment.
They've transcended brands, so to speak.
Somewhere there is a brand mention in it. So कहीं ना कहीं, whether we call it covertising or छुपी हुई advertising है ये, या pop culture में how do brands are coming in the pop culture, that is also a media innovation according to me, that in a entertainment के माहौल में, in an entertainment scenario, we have a brand which is not like sticking out like a sore thumb, but it is part of it. It is part of the entertainment. Another example of this is again done in the 2009 or 2007 or 8, when internet was still new, was done by BMW. What BMW did was, earlier films had a stage which was called television. And but then with internet, the video was gaining a lot of power, because people were watching a lot of content, what we call content right now, today. People are watching a lot of videos on internet. So BMW thought that, why do I pay so much to TV, for 30 seconds or this time, why don't we do our Super Bowl commercial on internet?
Okay.
So,
wow.
So they and for that, the money that they saved on TV, they spent on production. So they took the Hollywood level filmmakers. They did, I think, that Ridley Scott and Madonna commercials films were made,
Yes.
and they were like more than 1 minute long.
Yeah.
But the challenge was how to measure it, because the internet पे brand का OTS measure करने के tools नहीं बने थे तब तक.
Right.
जब तक ये
OTS being Abhishek?
opportunity to be seen,
Opportunity to be seen.
which is जिसको आजकल impressions बोलते हैं, या हम बोलते हैं कि
So
दिख गया वो ad,
this is actually such a a parallel progression of vocabulary as well. I mean, what was OTS is now actually impressions.
Correct.
And what was time spent, TSL, was actually, we must see. There wasn't actually a word for it, which is fascinating. Yeah, sure.
So in a way, the creative idea came first, that we should use internet as a medium. Now it looks like, ab to staple hai ye. But at that time, it was a paradigm shift for someone to think of, why don't I avoid
Sideline,
TV and
sideline TV.
straight away go to the internet and use the power of internet.
We're literally tracking the the development of media as far as advertising space is concerned. So the first time somebody at BMW said, why not save money and not go to television and put that all in great production and then go to this beast called the internet? But there's no OTS, which is opportunity to be seen, which was the grandfather of impressions, which is being used right now. And what was the next step then, Abhishek?
So this idea just came 2-3 years back, I think. You would have seen in sports, the jerseys of the players are very crowded with logos of different brands, and the boundary of in cricket, the boundary is chock-a-block with the different logos, and all that real estate is very, very, very expensive. So Rexona, a deodorant, wanted a fair share of this
Pie.
this pie. So बहुत interesting what they thought of, that there are a lot of it is a crowded space, the jersey of a player. Why don't we, because it's cricket, and the umpire becomes the most important person, and everybody is looking at the umpire when
the crucial moments happen.
Moments happen, when what is he going to do when he's going to raise his hand? Is it a no ball, is it a not out, or whatever, So what they did was, instead of going for the players, or instead of going for the usual spaces, they took space in the pit, in the armpit area of the jersey, so that, and only for the umpire, so that when the umpire raises his hand, in a crucial moment, that's when the logo gets seen the most. And it was called Rexona Pit Vertising, and it won a lot of awards. So, this is again, telling that how creatively people are reimagining what media could be. So even the armpit of an umpire could be your media.
Essentially, nothing, absolutely nothing is sacrosanct for the advertising professional. They're looking at everything as real estate. It's like armpit. Why not advertise on the armpit? it's incredible. But then
another sorry, yeah,
go ahead, please. No.
So another such a simple idea is like there was some number that let us say 32% of women don't feel comfortable wearing a swimsuit and taking a swim in public. And in Middle East, this is even more, the number is even more higher, So because of the socio-cultural
milieu that there is, of course,
So what Adidas did was a beautiful thing, you know. They had their hijab swimsuits, which they wanted to, you know, obviously promote. But more than the swimsuits, they wanted to promote this feeling of freedom, you know, and they wanted to empower the women, you know, and they wanted to make a statement about it. So instead of a normal billboard, they made a liquid billboard, which was full of water, clean water.
Okay.
And a woman can, you know, wear the Adidas swimsuit and take a dip in it and swim in it. It was called the liquid billboard. It was stationed at the beaches in Dubai and in different spaces. So it more than just, you know, selling a product. The media innovation made it a statement.
Absolutely. It was literally selling an idea so that the product becomes the idea itself.
So then there was a hoarding, you know, where it was whether it's a swimming pool or a hoarding, you know, it's both.
It's important to know the idea to sell the idea, no, Abhishek?
Yeah, that's what being a copywriter is all about, you know, copy the great stuff.
And you've got some great stuff about a certain brand who used media very innovatively,
Yeah,
no?
I would like to talk about Burger King. They had a brand line which they said, have it your way. And it basically meant that we have 350 ways to do a chicken sandwich, you know, which what they used to call Whopper, which is called Whopper. So how did that campaign come into life? So this is my favorite story in advertising, actually.
Right.
So what happened was that, you know, these guys at Crispin Porter Boguski, that was the ad agency, they were sitting and they were thinking to do something really revolutionary with Have It Your Way, with something that says that hum kisi bhi type ka chicken sandwich bana denge. So the idea came as a, you know, dream, which is how about we create a man in a chicken suit.
Okay.
And we tell people that, you know, he's a subservient chicken and he will do whatever you ask him to do.
Okay.
And they wanted to link it to the thought of have it chicken, have it your way.
Okay.
So, ab soch to liya, but how do you execute it? How do you bring it to life?
Sure.
And so the first execution was, okay, let's, dress a man in a chicken suit, put him on a, you know, place him on a road and a message can say that have it your way, I'll do whatever you ask me to do and stuff like that. But they wanted to use the internet, and this is again 2008, 2009.
Right.
So they felt that how can we create a website called subservientchicken.com on which this person will be there and wherever you log in from, you know, you might be in Brazil, you might be in Canada or America or Japan or India.
Right.
But if a user wants to say dance wants to see the chicken dance, so they will say, okay, dance chicken.
Okay.
So the chicken would be dancing. Let us say it is happening at 11 o'clock. At the same time, somebody in America is saying, sing a song for me, chicken. So the same chicken needs to sing a song and to dance also at the same time. They figured out that all these have to be pre-recorded. And they have to be somewhere linked with the tagging, you know, that if on a search bar, like how Google works, you know, you search for something and it shows you the relevant results.
Right.
So again, if someone is asking the chicken to dance, the algorithm should read dance and the chicken should dance. So they need to have all this pre-recorded. But then they are stuck on another seemingly impossible thing, which is they felt that, you know, there are impossibly infinite things that people can imagine for that chicken to do. So how many videos can we record? So they sat on it for some time and they felt that, okay, this idea has come to a stop, so it can't be done. But then they said, okay, give it another try. Let us see what we feel that human mind is impossibly infinite in imagination. Is it true or not? So they gave their agency people, you know, papers, and they said that whatever comes to your mind, you know, write it here. What do you want the chicken to do? And they gave this, you know, questionnaire to, let us say, 500, 600, 700 people.
Right.
And when what they found was that, you know, people are actually very limited by their imagination. There are like 2,000, 2,500 things that people want the chicken to do again and again. So they recorded all those videos, and then subservientchicken.com was born, and it worked. And later on, this same technology was used by Axe some 10 years later, and it is still used, in apps where we see the same thing reacting differently to different responses. How that can be.
So think about that. We believe that we have unlimited imagination, but research shows otherwise. You might want to chew on that as food for thought as well. And of course, Abhishek, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next week with more ideas. Yeah?
Great.
Yeah, so that's what. And we'll take a break and come right back. So stay, won't you?